what's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, usually what I do is motorcycle reviews, but I've had a few changes in my life, so today's video is going to be focused on repairing a Honda Grom headlight for the third generation. When I had initially taken possession of this Grom, I did not know that it had been endoed and reverse looped on its nose, but essentially what had happened was the top two tabs that retain the headlight cowl were busted. And I guess after so many wheelies of me coming down hard enough, the lower tab on one of the sides had busted, so my headlight was hanging on by one tab. And it was just kind of hanging there loosely, as you can see in the video. Obviously, that's not ideal whenever your headlight's just kind of flopping around, so the Grom went out of commission for a few weeks, and I ordered a new cowl. And the purpose of this video is to show you how to fix that yourself, if you ever run into that issue, and you could probably use this video as a tool if you're just swapping your headlight or replacing another component. Before we get started, if you enjoyed this content or some of the other content on my channel that may be more applicable to those of you who like motorcycle reviews, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you found this video helpful, please consider leaving a like on it and maybe sharing with someone who could benefit from this information. Anyway, now I'm going to kind of just talk you guys through my process and what I did to get this headlight repaired. So as you can see, it's not exactly supposed to do that, and that's not desirable to be riding around. So basically what you have to do from the beginning is undo these 4 bolts on the front face of it. So you can see right here that the tabs that retain the cowl in place on those brackets, 2 tabs on the one side were completely broken. Initially it was just the top 2 like I said, but then the lower one had busted off as well. So with just 1 tab holding it in, I decided that was not going to work, so we had to do something about that. So you have the 2 brackets on the side that actually hold the headlight in place. If you're not careful, you can round out the Allen head on these. And a while ago, whenever I put the TST turn signals on this bike, we actually rounded this one off and we had to grind it so that we could get a flat head in there and make it work. Kind of jerry-rigged that, but it basically made it so I had a functioning bolt, so we'll take it. There's also this bottom bolt on this side that allows you to adjust the angle of your headlight. You didn't have to remove that until later in the process, but I went ahead and just pulled it off now. So now that I actually have the headlight off, I'm trying to show you guys what it looks like on the inside of it, and this is the only tab that actually held in place that kept my headlight on the bike at all. But yeah, you can see right there that bracket was just not doing any favors for the rest of the assembly. And there were 4 smaller screws on the inside that you had to take off to remove the brackets from the actual cowl itself. Obviously, whenever your brackets are broken off of those tabs, there's not much unscrewing you have to do aside from just removing the broken pieces from those brackets. And then there are also these retainer clips on either side that hold the actual headlight itself into place. So you had to remove those brackets with those 4 small Phillips screws. I actually think they're JIS, or Japanese Industrial Standard. So make sure that you get the right head for your screws, or else you risk stripping them and the job can be a lot more difficult. And this next part, I made it a little bit more difficult than it needed to be. There are some retainer clips that hold the cowl into the shroud that goes around the headlight. You really just have to push them out and just basically break it apart without breaking. And you can see right here, I've already got one of those loose. So basically you just have to push those tabs out so that the cowl separates from the shroud. And now you can see that the headlight is in a few pieces here. So there's the actual headlight itself, and then those 2 other pieces are the cowl and the shroud. This is the old shroud that was busted and broken and served me no purpose, and here's the back of a new one and what it's supposed to look like. This part I had to kind of figure out on my own. I didn't know how to get the rubber grommet threads out of here, so I just took an Allen key and basically pushed it from the grommet side out, and they just slid right out. It took a little bit of pressure and effort, but they were all 4 out in under a minute. And then from there, getting them back in, if you just get them a little wet with some water or even just spit on them a little bit, you can push them in and they will slide back into your new piece. Again, don't throw the old one away until you pull these out, because you're going to need those unless you ordered new ones from the Honda Parts warehouse. And a quick note, you want to make sure that you do put these in the correct way. The correct way is the brass threads would be facing on the back side of the headlight, as shown in the video here. And then the black trim piece that goes around the headlight or the bezel just kind of clips back into place. At that point, the headlight assembly itself was ready to drop in. It does have 2 little rubber guides that basically fit between the 2 crevices on the outer edge, and you can see that the brackets that we pulled off previously go back into place, tighten them down, and before you put everything back together, I recommend giving the whole unit kind of a little shake to make sure that there aren't any bolts loose, because the last thing you want is to get it all back together you think everything's great, and then you start riding and you hear something rattling, and you got to take it all back apart again to do it the right way. So don't work over yourself. Do it right the first time. Just do some checks along the way and make sure everything's tight. And at this point, I decided it was a good time to put that nut back in on the bottom of the headlight and just kind of get it set back to where it's somewhere in the middle. And you can see there's a lot of adjustability in it, so if you wanted to do it a little bit differently, that's kind of up to you. Okay, and these little brackets here, I didn't remember how I took them out, but I did have video that I went back and watched, and you want to make sure that little lip on the top side right here is facing out of the headlights, and that's how the brackets are properly stuck in there. And then you want to take those little bolts that allow those to be removed and just snug them down, so again, there's no rattle. And at this point, the headlight is almost ready to go back in. I went ahead and just took those 4 bolts that we took out initially from the cowl and the bezel and went ahead and just tightened them back up, put them back in. And you can probably see the crack in my headlight. That is also from the endo. Didn't really see the need to replace that. There's no moisture in it, so I just left that and called it fine. And then now at this point, yeah, we just pretty much line everything back up, put it all into place where it goes. It's a little tricky with these side bolts and the forks being where they're at, trying not to scratch that brand new cowl that I just got. So be patient with this part, do it right. Slow is probably better. Just make sure that everything gets in there and fits right and you're not cross-threading anything. And yeah, now you can see that my headlight is finally rigid and pointing straight once more, which is how it's supposed to be. And now there's really only one thing left to do, and that's get rid of the old cowl, which I did. So goodbye, old cowl. You will not be missed. You served your purpose well. That's going to go ahead and wrap up today's video, guys. I hope this was at least a little helpful. I know I didn't show myself unscrewing anything, but I tried to do it piece by piece to show you what needs to be done in the order it needs to be done and how you need to do it. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, again, please consider subscribing to the channel and also dropping a like on this video and maybe even sharing it with someone who can benefit from this information. If you've been around for a while, you've probably seen my Where Have I Been video, and you know that I moved recently. I finally got everything moved into our new house, which is where I'm at now, and I plan on getting some more content out to you guys related to riding motorcycles, but I'm still kind of working on that. So I appreciate you being patient with me. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, and please ride safe.